What is it about dropping 4K damage games that's become so difficult to achieve in Season 12 of Apex Legends? Some new players don't even know what this badge is, but plenty of players are attempting daily to reach their highest damage games and unlock this prestigious and coveted badge. I mean, it's gotten to a point where players will go so far as to pay other players to boost their accounts just to unlock this. But I am getting a little ahead of myself here. What I want to focus on today is why does it feel like this badge gets increasingly more difficult to unlock season after season? In this video, I will discuss everything you need to know about how to unlock the 4K damage badge on any legend, but I'll also discuss why the majority of players will never unlock this themselves. This is an Apex Legends masterclass. The first step to unlocking this 4K damage badge comes down to sheer numbers. Who would have thought? No, but seriously, finding enough people each game these days feels insanely difficult, and I think that's for a few reasons. And one is the maps. Anyone who's been playing long enough knows that one of the most likely places to obtain a 4K badge is a fragment hot drop on World's Edge, but this has been taken out of the rotation in Season 12. You're sailing your way to your favorite building, only to look behind you to see a rainbow of dive trails from 10 to 12 different teams there. It's a nearly guaranteed occurrence in every match, and if RNG is on your side, and you manage to survive the initial onslaught of other players dropping nearby, you can often go on to start stacking your damage and kills towards a 4K game. However, when you start looking at the other maps like Kings Canyon, Olympus, and Stormpoint, you'll notice that none of them have a fragment type drop, where large amounts of players tend to land consistently, and this has been designed with intention. See, Fragment has the massive advantage of being a mostly centralized point of interest on the map, as well as providing numerous areas to loot and positions to hold. You'll be very hard pressed to find this on any other Apex map. Even some of the most popular drop spots on the other maps like Barometer, Estates, Energy Depot, or Crash Site still can't provide such a guaranteed amount of players or loot every single match. An important reason why these other POIs can't achieve this is because they are far more contingent on variables like the dropship's path and the randomness to how other players in that lobby are feeling that game. And this ultimately brings me to my other point. Even if you do get lucky and have a large number of squads hot drop in one of these other POIs, due to the overwhelming amount of players yet underwhelming amount of loot and buildings to play in, teams tend to die much faster, leaving far less people for you to farm your damage off of. Your own chances of survival go down drastically as well. Hot dropping smart is not nearly as easy on smaller POIs as it is on large ones such as Fragment. Then we of course have the matter of just how incredibly large a map like Stormpoint is. I mean, since its reveal in Season 11, many players have come to detest just how massive this map is. While its size does somewhat tend to help alleviate the issues of constant third parties seen on other maps, it also often causes overall pace of games to slow down dramatically. The POIs are abundant as well as very well spread out around the island, but this makes it very ideal for slower pace game modes like ranked or competitive matches. When you get into a public match where you are just trying to find as many enemies as possible to get damage off, this does not bode well. Kings Canyon and Olympus have the opposite effect, where teams tend to die off quicker, but you just don't know for sure where everyone was feeling to land that match. This takes me to my next point, pacing. And this actually plays its own very important role, and it's probably one of the main reasons why most will struggle to unlock this badge. See, public matches in Apex are moving faster than ever before, leaving you less and less time to loot, find teams, and win fights. So before you know it, you're usually going to be down to only 3 or 4 squads left. So moving fast is simply not something many players can do or feel comfortable doing. However, it is a necessity when it comes down to playing at a high level and gaining high level badges like the 4K. An extremely important premise of these high damage games centers around primarily getting your loot off of your kills. You're essentially letting your enemies do all the tedious looting for you. If you're spending far too much time off drop running around trying to find your go-to loadout and making sure you have the exact sites you want, you're never going to reach this 4K game. Now, everyone does this to some degree, but sweaty players are able to feel more comfortable with less than ideal loadouts and less loot. They make what they have work until they are able to find their real custom loadout in the most efficient way possible, taking it from someone else. Pacing also is referring to your rotations. See, making smart rotations around the map can be very important in finding as many teams as possible after your initial fights off drop. You should be paying close attention even while in the dropship to where other teams are landing and how many teams are landing there. You want to maximize the number of teams you can kill in as short of amount of time as possible. And aside from sheer luck, you can only do this by being vigilant and smart while rotating. I couldn't make a 4K video without asking you to smash the like button, so while you're doing that, I'll be talking about loadouts. I know lots of you ask me, what weapon should I run to have one of these types of games? And I think there's two real ways of going about the 4K. You can take the farmage route, where you use a long-range weapon like a sniper and sit back to poke at your enemies all game. You may have less kills, but the damage number can certainly be high. Or the second route is just your more average run and gun playstyle. I would say an AR like an R301 or a flatline, coupled with either a shotgun, wingman, or one of the SMGs, usually a car or an R99 since the Volt is in the care package this season. The run and gun playstyle is more of a sure way to ensure a lot of fights, assuming you can find them and win them. However, two really important factors need your attention here. One is, it comes down to economy, and this is vital to ensuring a 4K damage game. This is often overlooked. What do I mean by that? Well, you need to have enough ammo and heals to potentially have more lengthy battles. So you may be closing in on 3,000 damage, but there's only one team left. If you only have 100 ammo in each gun, you are probably not going to get this damage badge. Factors like this play a huge role, and it's super important to manage your economy in accordance to what fights you are taking and how you can multiply those damage numbers. Shields and health heals are almost equally as important here. This part could deserve an entire 10-minute section, but I'll keep it brief. If you can't peek as much because you are low on shields, then this could make you miss out on a lot of potential damage dealing opportunities. And if you don't have big heals like shield batteries, then you could also spend much more time healing instead of finding great angles and farming your enemies. The other vital factor is thirsting your opponents. This extra 100 damage on each knock is really crucial to add some free additional damage that you may otherwise not find in normal fights. I should note a couple things here for more newer players. The damage to the knockdown shield does not count, but the damage to the knocked legend does. And it also doesn't matter if it was your knock in the first place. The damage applies to any enemy that has been knocked. So you may be thinking, okay, great, I know what weapons to run, I know where to look to land, and I know I need a fast pace to continuously rotate. But this next factor simply cannot be ignored. Your teammates. Teammates are just one more variable you have to consider in this whole process, particularly if you're playing with randoms rather than being squatted up. Not knowing what your teammates are going to do or how they're going to play can potentially make it that much harder for farming damage. If they are also super sweaty and are racking up damage and kills as fast or faster than you are, chances are you're not getting a 4K that game. You do need your teammates to be there when it counts, but in all honesty, you kind of need them to not actually do too much. If you're closing in on 3,000 damage with 4 squads left, you obviously don't want to just insta-wipe the remaining teams as quickly as possible. And this is where you really want to make sure you are carefully prolonging fights, just enough to maximize your damage output. But if your randoms are focusing solely on winning the game, this complicates things. With that said, it can obviously be much more helpful to achieve this with a full squad. You can communicate with your squad to ensure that they're not simply dropping every enemy that crosses your path with godlike precision. And if they know you're really close to the 4K and you're on the last squad, they can just sit back and let you attempt to get the majority of the damage. Sure, you can try to do this with randoms, but it is never a guarantee that they will listen or react as you hope. I cannot begin to tell you how many 4K damage games and 20 kill games I've lost as a result of random teammates sabotaging them. I got it. Hang on. Don't kill him. Don't kill him. No!
Oh my god, we are so sorry. My bad, man.
It's okay, bro. It's okay. But that's a great transition into the last thing you need to have these 4K games: luck. In the end, this is a battle royale shooter game, and it centers heavily around randomization. Being able to land on good loot off drop, not landing on too many people at once, still being able to continuously run into enough enemies throughout the match, etc. are all a matter of RNG and luck. You could land super hot, get great loot, kill numerous squads, and rack up big damage off the rip, and then spend the rest of the game desperately searching for enemies and not finding anyone until the last squad with 2,000 damage left to go. As we've discussed, there are so many things that you can control, but there are ultimately so many more things that you can't. So a little bit of luck can go a long way. So many things need to go right in order for you to have that perfect game. Now, don't let this fool you into believing that you only need luck to get a 4K. You still have to be skilled and make smart decisions, but in the end, things do have to somewhat go your way. Any number of small variables could completely shake up the outcome, and you never know what that's going to be. What if you're going in for a third party, but one is already knocked and the other two are less than 100 HP? What happens if this is one of only 3 remaining teams and you still need over 1000 damage? What if you're so close and you only need 200 more damage, but your random decides to go ahead and kill the last enemy for the win? Something as simple as this can drastically reduce or even ruin your chances. There's so many reasons that getting a 4K badge has become more and more elusive as the seasons go on. Season 12 is proving to be exceptionally difficult, and it likely won't get any easier going forward. But if you are able to keep all of these tips and strategies in mind, keep striving to improve, and with a little bit of luck, you may very well be able to drop a 4K one day. And if you're interested in how to drop a 20 kill game, I suggest you click on this next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.